Here we go. This is part 2.
Deuce. Trey.
Here to paint and chit chat.
For about an hour and a half. Yeah, we were talking about your dog here just before we jumped off.
Yeah. Arwen is a Catahoula leopard dog. It's in the same position here.
Not moving.
She's sitting on the same couch. She moved to the adjacent cushion. Gandalf is run off. Yeah.
I'd say I'd never heard of that species or version of dog before.
The Catahoula leopard dog.
They have stripes or spots?
Spots. Right, Arwen? She was rescued by the Arizona Border Collie Rescue. Rusty's popped off. There we go. And get him back on. All right, you're back.
I think the internet's being cantankerous tonight.
Uh-oh.
It happens sometimes where, we're supposed to have really good internet, but doesn't mean it doesn't shut itself off.
Yeah. We sometimes have some problems with the internet here. Cox Communications. So what happens usually is I have to call them and reset the internet, and that usually fixes our connection problems.
I usually have to unplug the main box and get it to reset because it will just lose its signal or something. Hellhound.
All right.
Have to look online and figure out where the cockpit on this thing is. Oh, I was right. All right. Sometimes you look at a mech and you're like, yeah, there is the cockpit.
Yeah, where's the head? It's a crab. Where's the head?
Now you get some, you look at what the heck you call it, a Warhammer. The head is right like in the chest.
Almost, yeah. Then you got mechs like Locust. Doesn't appear to even have a head.
Yeah. It's just got a little slot for where the guy's supposed to look at. See, the last show you guys did, didn't you talk about Battletech?
Oh, yeah. I was talking about a crazy idea of printing up some mechs for 15 millimeter scale. And then using my Flames of War 15 millimeter infantry and tanks
Oh, okay.
in the Stalingrad terrain that I already have built with a few 15 millimeter scale mechs thrown in to see what type of game that would be, you know?
Well, the other day, my son found my Robotech miniatures. He was digging for. He got a Kickstarter about 5 years ago that had a terrain making kit where you can make your own hexes, cut your own hexes out of foam. So he was spending all of his time looking for it, and he found some of my Robotech mechs from the early 90s, I think they were from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the recent Kickstarter for Robotech about 5 or 6 years ago they made.
Yeah, these are the ones were put out on the market. You know, they were toys, like you get them at Toys R Us, you know, back in the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they made a game that went on Kickstarter about 5 or 6 years ago. Robotech RPG Tactics or something like that.
Okay. I think I heard of it.
And the models were plastic model kits. And they look to be about the same scale as Battletech.
Yeah. I've seen people use them for Battletech.
Well, I was pretty jazzed with it, but I looked at some reviews on YouTube, and that discouraged me from getting it.
The game?
Yeah, basically, those models, just imagine they're the size of Battletech models, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each model has about 50 or 60 parts.
Oh, wow. Like a Gundam.
And extremely fiddly to put together. Fantastic if you're really good at modeling and you're young and you've got eyesight that can track those little itty bitty pieces. But I was like, well, maybe that's not for me.
I'd say so. You know, my son, he puts together those Gundams that, you know, they're a kit.
Yeah.
But some of them are you glue together, others are just snap fit. It just depends on which ones you get. But they're pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a big thing in Japan, though.
Yeah, they are.
Obviously, that's where they come from, but so much so that just recently, this last year, they actually built a
full size one.
Yeah. What was it? 6 or 7 stories tall.
Yeah. Yeah, my son showed me the video
walking.
of it.
It's like, oh wow. My cow.
Thing is huge.
Just remember, that came out before the Mackie.
Yeah.
That was one of the discussions. Was you know, what is the Mackie? Is it a viable mech to play these days?
There's the new revised version, and then there's the original version. The original version is using like primitive armor, didn't have advanced armor or anything on it. So it's like it had like 20 25 tons worth of armor. You're talking a 100-ton mech that had equivalent of a limited amount of weapons on it.
And speaking of Battletech, I got a message the other day from a buddy of mine here in Tucson who's getting back into Battletech. And he was asking me how to make Battletech scale trees.
That's pretty easy. Just use normal tree.
Well, I just remembered in my old archives of a brain, I remember making terrain for micro armor. And there's a type of pipe cleaner that's kind of got an hourglass shape to it. And you get the green ones, then you can just cut them up into pine trees, and they just glue them to a base, and you've got instant forest.
No, we just use Woodland Scenics, the medium to small trees.
Yeah.
They work just fine. There's a mech, like a 20-tonner, it's only a story tall. It's not big. When you get into where the heck is the cockpit on this thing? Yeah, you look at some of them, even an Atlas, 2 stories tall. That's not big. 20 foot.
Let me go ahead and share screen here. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So those are chenille stems. Boom. You get the green ones there. You cut them up and then glue them to a base, and they're convincing pine forest,
Yeah, conifers. Yeah, they work really good for micro armor.
And you get that amount for maybe about $2 or $3.
Yeah.
So you get like 5 or 6 packages of that. Then you got a nice forested area. You just get some type of colored, like a green hex to place that. And then hopefully your hex mat has a colored green area where, so when your mech walks through it, you pick up the tree thing and then it's marked,
We I have a tendency to want to play Battletech as a miniature game instead of a board game. So I avoid as much as possible playing on a hex mat.
Oh, okay.
Actually, treat it like a board or tabletop miniature game. And I'm a firm believer of just playing it like it is a miniature game. Get in the habit. It's not hard. It's just 1-to-1. You don't have to do any type of changes or anything to the game at all. The only difference you have is that, it's like partial cover. You can have partial cover on the legs, or you can have partial cover on the sides of the mech. Because if let's say you're standing next to a building, that's taller than, or just as tall as you, or taller, part of the mech can be seen from the side. So you could have, let's say, a right side partial cover. And movement is easy, just 1-for-1. And tried to talk to people about it, and it's like, well, yeah, you guys still move the whole mech, the full facing of the mech on the hex. Like, no, you don't. There is no hexes anymore. Ignore that. It's like, if you're going to turn, you turn. But, each side of your hex, each side there, one complete turn facing is a one movement point. You don't have to move the full side of a hex facing. You just have to move some of it. No, it's not overly rocket science, but
Yeah, I tend to play by board game rules.
you can use it is board game.
Yeah. And I think it's because of a different game's influence on me.
I started off in playing miniature games.
Yeah.
And by going that, it's logical for me to just transition to it as a miniature game. It's still a miniature game to me.
Well, the game that comes to my attention when I think of hex-based games is Starfleet Battles.
Yeah.
And whenever you start talking about doing it into a war game, or a miniature war game, as opposed to being on hex base, that's when it starts getting crazy. Is that you need 3 times as much space to do it.
Yeah, because the counter fits on that small hex system that they had, but it came with it really easy. Yeah. But then when you start throwing into the miniatures, their miniatures are huge compared to the hexes. So.
Yeah.
That's one that didn't equate very well into miniature gaming very well.
And so whenever I think about changing from Battletech hex based to miniatures, I keep on, in the back of my mind, I'm like, uh-oh, I've gone through this before. with the Starfleet Battles. And so I don't really explore it too much.
Yeah. Now, we had individuals that played before that wanted to go the 3 times the range rules, and go 3 times the movement. And it's like, no, just keep it simple and go the route of the just 1-to-1. Use the same setup that you get with the board game, and all you're doing is now you're on open terrain versus being confined by hexes. And you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It may seem strange for a while, but all the guys that that we play locally here that I play with prefer it as a miniature game. And I got my son and his friend are now playing it as a if you've seen our reports lately, it's been all open terrain.
I didn't even realize that we had a viewer that said hello, and we kind of blew him off. He took off.
I never even seen it. Who was it?
Gun Barrel. Sorry about that, Gun Barrel. If you watch the rerun, I just looked up and saw it that you messaged us 10 minutes ago.
I have it. Oh. All right. Yep. I didn't have the live chat on. That was still on private chat. I hadn't moved it over.
No worries.
All right.
So initially, I used white glue to glue these on here,
Mm-hmm.
but and I thought, okay, the white glue is going to be fine for the wood, but apparently it's not really wanting to stick very well to the plastics.
No.
So I'm using
probably need to use sticky tack or something. Is that liquid nail or something?
It's like household utility glue.
Okay.
E6000.
Takes 86,000 pounds of pressure to break the seal. You're never getting those miniatures off those blocks now.
No, I if I have a problem with that, what I'll do is I'll simply I'll just take the miter saw and just cut them down, and then I'll just sand the wood off of it. Not a problem. But I think that they'll pop off. If given some pressure.
Under pressure.
Now I used the old school glue to glue these puppies together from Testers. See?
Oh, the red. Yeah.
So when I do pop off the miniatures, they're not going to come apart.
No.
Because they're bonded together. They're welded together, I should say.
Yeah, they're melted.
Sorry?
They're melted.
Yeah. So when Chavo was on here last week, he mentioned that there was new aircraft rules for bolt action.
Yeah, I looked and I couldn't find anything.
And apparently there's an errata about it, but it's only for the World War II stuff. They haven't done any errata for the Korean War. So, because the planes in Korea were quite a bit different from World War II planes.
To some extent, they still had their old proc jobs. Everything that was in World War II was still available, except we did have more jets.
Yeah, it was a Corsair. Well, not Corsairs, right?
Yeah, they used
MiGs.
Corsairs.
The Corsairs were used, right?
Yeah, Mustangs, Corsairs, Thunderbolts, you name it.
And the MiGs were used for the first time in that war.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those deals where we still hadn't transitioned completely over, so a lot of units were still using the old World War II equipment.
Yeah.
And like the Sky Raider, that's when it's really started getting used. And we're still seeing it in Vietnam.
The beginning of the Cold War.
Yeah. Wasn't really cold.
I don't know. I spent some time over at Fort McCoy, and I found it rather cold out there.
Fort McCoy? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was no cold. There was no warm war about that. Well, even in the summertime, it was still cool.
Yeah, I went there in the winter, and it was pretty miserable.
Yeah, I know.
When my father was alive, and I told him about my experience over at Fort McCoy, and he was like, "You don't know cold," because he was a veteran of the Korean War.
Yeah.
And he says, "Cold is when you put your rifle up to your face, and it sticks to your cheek." Cold is when you feel your eyeballs freeze.
Yeah, that sounds like northern Minnesota or Canada.
No, he was talking about Korea.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's super cold in some, winters there in the Korean War. So,
Yeah, you're talking 20, 30 below at times.
yeah.
Coldest I ever experienced was like 56 below.
Yeah. I've not experienced that, and I don't think I ever want to. No desire. It's one reason why I stayed down here in Arizona after I got out.
What's the fort near you?
Fort Huachuca.
Okay.
Or we used to call it Fort We Got You.
We got you. We're not letting
You
you
probably
go.
say it.
Yeah, I was down at well, I guess it'd go north. That'd be at Carson, where I was at. Fort Carson, also known as Fort Country Club. Because you're in Colorado. Just because it's Colorado and you're in the Army doesn't mean you can't have fun. Right there by Colorado Springs. It may have been warm, but it still got cool at night.
Yeah.
Air's dry, just like where you're at, but not as hot like you have.
Yeah. They say in Biloxi Blues, it's so hot outside. I saw a dog chasing a cat, and they were both walking.
Yeah, just on Saturday last week, I was outside. It was like 65 degrees outside. You'd think that 65 you'd feel cold. I was sweating my butt off because it was only like 90% humidity.
See, right now, because of my, I've been living here for a few decades. If you put me in 65-degree weather, I'd be wanting to have a parka on.
Oh, really?
I don't think I could handle that.
No,
I'm a lightweight when it comes to cold weather now.
no. It was last couple days. It's been cool enough that I've been opening the windows of the house because it's getting down to like 58, 60 degrees at night. Which isn't too bad. Warms up pretty good. It's like today it got up to like 85. We're supposed to get up to this weekend. They're talking mid 90s with 80% humidity, so it's going to be miserable.
Whew.
Yeah,
It's that ideal cool weather, 80 degrees.
80. It could be 80 degrees with 50% humidity or 40% humidity, and it can feel cold. Because if all the sweat's evaporating off you, and you're feeling pretty decent.
Yeah.
You don't get much humidity. That's the one thing you have to.
No, it's when it comes to wargaming, I don't have to wait to do my primer sprays.
Yeah.
There's no humidity type of issues going on here, so I don't get that weird
Bubbling
of the spray paint. Although, because of the dry climate, there is something that I cannot use out here.
What's that?
Lichen.
Oh, it dry right out.
It turns to powder.
Yeah.
It just dries up and just makes itself into a powder, and it just When I first moved out here, I was like, what in the world is this? I had all sorts of lichen. And I had moved out here from Virginia, which was completely the opposite when it comes to your humidity factor.
Yeah, I know. It's like my friend Mel Stryker, gets on the live streams every once in a while and chats. He's had a bag of lichen from the early 90s that's still alive.
Wow.
That stuff just keeps going and going. Like, as long as you keep it moist, and like we have enough humidity around here, especially in the summertime, this stuff practically grows.
It's been a while since I did a assembly line unit painting.
That's
Been doing a bunch of... Sorry?
That's the easiest way to do them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of skirmish type of gaming recently, so everyone's individualistic. So this is going to be different for me.
Yeah, you just did Granny Clampett and her entourage, retinue.
Yeah.
You get some people watching like, huh? Who? In honor of that, it's like we watched or listened to the theme song of the Beverly Hillbillies last night because of it.
Let me tell you about a
story about a man named Jed, or a mountaineer barely kept his family fed. Then one day when he was shooting at some food, up from the ground comes some bubbling crude. Oil, that is. Texas tea.
Black gold.
Then he packed up his family and moved up Beverly. Hills, that is. Home of movie stars, swimming pool.
Yeehaw.
I used to watch that as a kid all the time.
My father used to watch that all the time. Yeehaw?
Yep. So did my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was raised on the farm in northern Minnesota. Well, a lot of stuff we watched like that.
Yeah. I was raised by a soldier.
Yeah. My dad never served. All of his brothers did. He was the only brother that didn't. Everybody got drafted but him.
Yeah. My father volunteered. At the beginning of the Korean War, he volunteered.
Yeah.
Tried to go into the Marines. And the year before, he had had a surgery where they took some of his intestines out. So when he tried to join the Marines, he told the Navy doctor, about his surgery, and they rejected him for being in the Marines. And he told the Navy doctor, "Hey, what do you think? I don't have enough guts." And then he He turned around and went into the Army recruiting office and didn't tell him about the surgery.
And they took him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes stuff just doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, it's the 50s. I mean, there you go. You know. He said that his entire class that he was in college with had joined the Marines, and he was there with his classmates, and that none of his classmates made it back from Korea.
Wow. It's not a good deal.
So he says that surgery probably saved his life. But I mean, I'm sure that he saw a lot of action. He never talked about it because he was a ranger in Korea, and they don't really, you know, rangers usually are in the thick of things. So, but he never talked about it.
A lot of line operation, that's for sure. I had two of my uncles were over there for that, and one was in the artillery and the other one was infantry. And the one that was in the artillery was the one that had the most problems because a lot of his unit got blown to bits and counter battery fire.
Oh no. That sucks.
I had our next door neighbor. He was in the South Pacific in World War II. And he said he had an appendicitis while up on the front on Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
Not Okinawa. It was Okinawa. And he was in the Army, and they were up on a ridge line or something, and he was in a world of hurt, and they were carrying him down, and some Japanese sniper seen him being carried and shot at the group, trying to probably kill the stretcher bearers or something, and hit him in the appendix.
Oh no.
So it shot his appendix up.
That's out of control.
Yeah. That's the worst way to get your appendix taken out.
That certainly is.
He laughed about it, though. He thought it was kind of funny, ironic. It's like,
I talked to a vet of World War II years ago. He used to talk all the time about his experience over in the Philippines. He was in the Army. He was talking about how they would regularly steal different rations and supplies from the Marine units.
a little bit of inner rivalry there.
Yeah. Then he said his platoon was in the thick of the jungle out there. And with it being all moist and wet all the time, a few of the guys in his platoon got elephantitis.
That would be good.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, you think about how when we were in, how things were treated and done. We always can bitch and complain about how, oh, take a Motrin. There you go. It's like, oh, you twisted your ankle? Take a Motrin. Just broke your ankle? Take a Motrin. You'll be fine. Walk it off. We kind of joke that's the mentality that the Army has, but you think about some of those guys, is that what they went through? And it's like, just suck it up.
Yeah.
Like a lot of hardship.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to my great uncle was over there in Europe. He went through. He was on the Remagen Bridge. Got shot. He got his Silver Star on the Remagen Bridge.
Hey, there you go. As long as he survived.
Yeah. Well, his the reason he got it was his buddy got shot. He got shot, but he was in pretty good condition. And his buddy fell off the bridge, and he jumped off the bridge and retrieved him. They gave him a Silver Star for gallantry for it. What was that?
Dropper bottle came off.
Off your little shaker?
Yeah. It's popped. The nozzle popped off.
Were you infantry?
No. I pulled lanyard.
Oh, you were a cannon cocker. Huh? I started off as a 13 Fox.
Yeah. I did a little bit of forward observing. That's the closest to infantry I've been.
Yeah. Yeah, having to carry your house on your back got old quickly.
Yeah. King of battle, right?
So they say.
You're armor, weren't you?
Yeah, I ended up going armor after I went through OCS.
Yeah, the closest I went to armor is I actually got to do familiarization in a paladin.
Okay.
That was actually a lot of fun, but I'm glad I wasn't in a paladin unit though. They don't make those things for tall people like me.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
Oh, okay. That's 4 inches well, I got about 3.5 inches taller than me. I used to be about 6 foot. Not anymore. One thing that happens when you start getting older, you start shrinking.
Uh-oh. I don't know. I knew some paratroopers that actually literally shrank from the jumps they did.
Yeah, it's hard on your because you start losing your
Lost an inch or two.
your dip.
They don't tell you that on the
brochure.
On the recruiting that you're going to get shorter.
Congratulations, trooper. And it's like we would go through and, you do your PT test and they put you, measure you, and it's like, well, sir, I hate to tell you, but you're a little close on the weight, because I always weight lifted too. So I was like kind of heavy anyway because of that, because a lot of muscle. And they go, you're, it's like, tell you what, go look at the official record. That's my official height. You got to use that. Just because I'm shorter now. And they look at it and go, oh, you're lucky. All right.
See, when I was in, I was super thin. I've gained so much weight since then, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, let's just put it this way. On my 40th birthday, I benched 500 pounds.
Hey, there you go.
So I was, I may have been, I was like built like a brick shit house. And it was a lot of fun, though. I miss it.
I miss it, but I don't.
I don't miss all the long hours and
yeah,
being in the field for ever and a day. We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's one thing I don't. It's like I miss the camaraderie, being with the guys. And,
yeah.
That kind of stuff. I don't miss the long hours and the BS that goes with it.
No doubt.
I had somebody ask me back in June, it's like, oh, you really miss it? I was like, well, I don't miss is all the paperwork.
Yeah. I don't miss gun cleaning.
Oh, God, yeah. And it only got worse is if you, let's say, imagine having your own personal equipment, then you have all the vehicle equipment go with it.
we had our artillery to clean. Yeah.
Yeah, our artillery was on the tank, so it had to get cleaned, but it was still a pain.
Yeah. Because the artillery rounds, the bags of propellant were separate from the shell.
Yeah.
So that would make a mess down the barrel after exercises.
Yeah, it's the same way on the tank. You know, you have to tear apart a 120. You know, it's like you'd have that caseless round would go down, burn up, but it was still you'd have to tear it apart just to clean all the crap out. You know, it's like when I was I remember when I was enlisted, you know, you had your M16. I guess nowadays they got the M4 with all the those things, but it would be, oh, I have to clean my weapon, and the armory won't take it until it's clean. Oh boy. And you know, it's like you got your. Were you on 105s or 155s?
155s.
Yeah, it was.
The Toad.
Yeah.
We got pretty fast at it, though. We really were able to put down, you know, off the trucks in minutes would be set ready and ready for fire missions.
Yeah.
And then at a moment's notice, we could actually pack everything up and then get moving. We were really fast. They kept on drilling that into us that in the modern warfare, we have to be able to move fast at a moment's notice.
Because you get somebody on the other end like me, who was the FO. It's like always looking for an opportunity to drop rounds on your counterpart. You get that counter battery radar.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing you had to do is like a little pain, which was smart, but it was still a pain, is that you had to set up your remote for your remote antenna.
Yeah.
So if you set up your OP or sitting out there where you call your fire in from, and then but you'd have run wire to your actual repeater antenna system. You got to put all that up. And then if the unit decided to move to a new position, guess what? You got to tear all that crap down.
Yeah.
Move it to a new position, and then put it back up. And it was not an easy job, especially usually you're a 3-man fist team.
Yeah.
And they were like, since you're doing a field exercise, they expect you to spool up your wire instead of leaving. It's like if it was an actual battlefield, you wouldn't. You just cut and go.
Yeah. Yep.
And you have your sin guards unit. And, yeah, all fun.
Yeah. Training environment is way different, that's for sure.
So you could do the full 20?
No. Only in for 10. No. I had enough.
Enough of the BS.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get to do the full 20. They kicked me out. They have a thing against you having medical problems.
Oh. I think it's the opposite for me. I think that the artillery may have messed up with my hearing, but I can't prove it.
What? Can't hear you? What?
Yeah. And I think it's because of the fact that they have those stupid what is it where you put you in a room to do the hearing test,
Oh, the beep thing.
and then you're like hearing like echoes of possible noises, but you don't know if it is a noise.
Yeah.
And so you just press the button anyways. And I think that's how I got through all my hearing tests and while I was in.
It's like for me, all I hear is yee. Like right now with my use earbuds in, all I'm hearing is yee constantly. All right.
And I'm sure that I pressed the thing for ghost sounds, but I pressed it so many times that they probably just like, oh, okay, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, the hearing
Yeah.
test
You're
that
in
they
the
had.
booth. You're sitting in the little booth and you're like,
Yeah,
beep.
you gotta press the thing. Okay, I don't know if I'm hearing anything or not. I'll just press the button anyways.
Yeah, they just usually said, well, sir, you're officially deaf. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, they said that my hearing was fine. So I'm like, oh, okay. My wife says that my hearing is terrible.
No, so is mine. Hey, did you hear a word I said? What? Oh, you were talking? Ah, that's just man. That's just being a guy.
Yeah, these things are really really nice. I hadn't thought that painting on these things would make a difference, but I guess it does.
No, probably help and hold it.
Yeah. So you just go to Home Depot. They have Cole lumber, which is like the leftover lumber from when they cut it down for people.
Yeah.
And I just got a 1x1, and then I just cut it up. It's about a yard worth of material. Because they sell that stuff for pennies on the dollar. Because they can't sell it.
Yeah. They'd rather get something out of it than nothing.
Yeah. That's how I made my wargaming hills. Majority of the hills that you see in my war games are solid wood.
Oh, really? Mine are white styrofoam or pink styrofoam.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of pink styrofoam sitting over there right now. It's waiting for me to get the old hot foam cutter out. Make some more. Yeah, my son and I were talking the other day about he wants to make terrain boards.
Yeah.
I think they're maybe 2 feet, 24 inches. Get these squares. You get this at we get them at Menards. I think they're 2x2s. Pieces of pink foam and just use them to actual put terrain on it. Make terrain squares.
Oh, okay.
So you can decorate them out however you want, and you just have them so they can interlock together. And
Yeah, I bought a whole bunch of interlocking tile for like a playpen.
okay,
They got the jigsaw interlock thing.
yeah,
And my intention is to one day go back and texture all that with sand and flocking and so forth, and make ridges out of them.
that would work.
That's going to be a huge project.
Yeah, it's like after watching or playing with over at Dan Booman's house. That guy's got some really nice terrain.
Yeah.
And it makes me like, I look at my terrain and I look at what he puts together and it's like, man, my list sucks.
Yeah.
So
my philosophy is that if you don't work on terrain, then you might as well be doing a hex-based miniature, hex-based game.
Yeah.
I think that my wife is wanting to go eat dinner.
She's telling you it's time to pack it up.
Yeah. I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah, I definitely need to work on my terrain.
Yeah. I'm constantly working on terrain.
No, it's now that you got the 3D printers, like your terrain is up to ante there. So
Oh, yeah. That's been a huge, useful tool.
yeah, I've been thinking about. I'm debating if I can see the benefit of having you got the
I got the filament style.
yeah, the filament is good for building terrain,
Oh, yeah.
and the resin one is good for actual miniatures.
Unless they're larger miniatures like tanks and stuff, then, or even pirate ships for Blood and Plunder.
Yeah. Like you printed those things out, but you haven't painted them yet, have you?
Yeah, that's the thing is you print up all this stuff and it's like, oh boy.
Now I got to paint it.
Until recently, I haven't had a schedule that aligns with my work and leisure time to be able to do it. But now that I'm off on Thursdays, I'm able to actually knock out a lot of painting.
Yeah, I was chatting with Palmer, and it's looking like we probably won't start our Musty Wargamer show until mid-October or November,
Oh, wow.
unless something changes for him.
It's pretty busy.
Yeah. Yeah, him and his wife opened up a animal hospital.
Oh, really? Wow.
She's a
That
vet.
is a lot of work, that's for sure. All right, so I guess that's my wife calling saying that I'm out of time. So,
Time to go eat.
yeah. All right, well, I'll talk to you later there, Rusty. Thanks a lot for showing.
Okay.
We'll have to do this in the future, huh?
Alrighty. Talk to you later.